Hey coaches, and welcome to my video. You may be watching this video on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook page, Perfect Play Football. No matter where you're watching the video, how you're watching the content, I thank you for taking time to watch the video. It means a lot to me that people tend to want to share it, want to look at the content, you enjoy it. Then I'll keep producing it. If you want more of the more in-depth content than what you see on the Facebook page or the YouTube channel, then you can join my Patreon page, which is $10 a month. The number one question I get from patrons and people that have seen the information on the Patreon channel is, how in the world and why in the world are you offering this information for just $10 a month? So you're welcome to check that out. $10 a month for the Patreon page. You get all of the information, all questions answered, all details, all secrets, nothing held back. In today's video, whether you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, bang that bell for those notifications, thumbs up if you like it, follow the YouTube page or my Facebook page. Once again, Perfect Play Football. I appreciate all the attention that the information gets. So let's get into the topic of the video itself. First of all, we're talking about attacking the boundary. We want to attack the boundary, and we're going to do that with a tight end or an H-back. So the tight end could be attached, or the tight end, it may be an H-back situation. In this picture we have here, we're using a tight end into the boundary. And I've developed a checklist that you need to develop in order to use your tight end or H-back in all of the following ways. So there are four things we're going to do with a tight end into the boundary. We're going to block him. We're going to use him as a blocker. We're going to put him into the flat route as a receiver. We're going to bluff him. All right, we're going to bluff a block and then get into a pass route. Some people call these pops. And then we're going to run him on a corner. So it's similar to a bluff, but instead of running behind a safety like a bluff is, we're going to go to the corner. So let's talk about each one. The tight end is aligned on the line of scrimmage. This could be a two-back formation. You could have another H-back over here. It doesn't matter. I'm using trips in my example today, and it doesn't matter what we're doing to the perimeter in trips. And we're talking about how to use this tight end in my game plan attack. So let's look at it very simply. Let's just look at numbers. We have 4 gaps into the boundary. So from the hash mark, we have A gap, B gap, C gap, D gap. 4 gaps into the boundary. So the defense must have four defenders for those gaps. They must have a defender for A gap, B gap, C gap, and D gap. Makes a lot of sense. It may be defenders on the first level, maybe a shade and a 6 technique. It could be a 3 and a 6 technique. Could it be a shade, 5 and 9 technique? You got lots of ways you can look at it. Could have the second level. You could have a linebacker in B gap. You could have a linebacker in A gap. So if you have a reduction to the boundary, you'd have your 3 and the 6 technique into the boundary, and you'd have your A gap linebacker. So that's 3 defenders. So you must have one more defender. That's usually from the secondary. That's going to be lined up here like a corner. If they don't bring the corner over here to play some type of man coverage to our trips, to our receivers, they may have a strong safety type guy here playing man or playing in that area for the D gap and to play pass on the Y. So those could be your 4 defenders. It could be lined up multiple ways. Most of the time, you're going to have a reduction into the boundary. So you have your 3 and the 6 technique here to the boundary, an A-gap linebacker, and then a strong safety or corner playing as your alley player, as your D-gap player, and also able to play pass. If it's a middle open with 2 safeties, there may be 2 defenders over here to trips plus a high free safety. If it's middle closed where they're playing like a man-free look or cover 3 look, so you may have a free safety in the middle of the field or towards the hash, then you may have 3 defenders lined up down here in the face of your 3 receivers. No matter what kind of style of defense they're playing, if you have those 4 defenders into the boundary, you can gain an advantage by attacking the boundary. Now, if a team is middle open and they have another safety here on the hash, they can quickly get a 5th defender into the attack area. And so that gives the defense a numerical advantage. I was a defensive coordinator for many years, and I always wanted to get an extra defender to the point of attack where he couldn't be blocked. If it's in pass rush, whether it's defending the run, whatever it is, maybe defending the pass, I tried to get extra defenders in those areas where the offense was trying to attack. So if they have a high safety here into the boundary and he can drop down to be an extra defender into the boundary here, then they get 5 guys. That's not good numbers for you. However, there will be good numbers for you to the trips and to the field. Most defenses will not put 5 defenders into 4 gaps into the boundary. 5 defenders into 4 gaps into the boundary is not a good idea. So you will have 6 defenders basically playing 2/3 of the field. That's a lot of space to cover. So that gives you an advantage. If they go middle closed with the safety towards the middle of the field and 3 defenders over 3 receivers, then that could only leave them at a maximum to have 4 defenders on the backside. Once again, it's usually the reduction side into the boundary. May not be, but most defenses will play you that way. A 3 and a 6 into the boundary, a gap linebacker, and then a strong safety or corner playing the alley or D gap. So let's talk about the checklist now for your tight end. He has to block. Well, how many different ways can we block? If he has a 6 technique on him, maybe you want him to base block the 6 technique. If you're trying to do the pin and pull where you're pulling tackle or guard to get outside, maybe the Y can block down on a 5 technique. Okay, maybe you've got him arcing to block the corner or the alley defender. Maybe you want to run counter into the boundary and you're going to release him outside on an arc to block that corner. So you need to do those 3 things with this tight end: block on, block down, and arc to the alley defender. Arc to the alley defender is very important because that's going to set up your bluff. Number 2, we have a flat route. Release him directly, outside release, 2 yards into the flat. You can throw the ball to him. That will expand this alley defender, the corner, strong safety type defender, will run outside with him. A lot of times that's better than blocking him. That may also influence a middle open safety. If you have a boundary safety and he sees that outside release, that may slow his attack downhill. That may slow him down. The third thing, and this is important, especially if you see 2 safeties, a middle open look with a boundary safety, arc outside like you're going to block the corner, and then pivot or plant on your outside foot and get behind the boundary safety. You're going to run your bluff, or some people call it a pop route. If this jack safety, this boundary safety and middle open look is coming downhill, you can't block him. You don't have enough people to block this guy. The defense will always be +1. You release outside like you're going to block the corner, and then plant on that left foot in this picture, the left foot, and then get behind the safety, and the quarterback would pull the ball. It's like an RPO on the boundary safety. And a lot of people are running this glance post from a split receiver. It's the same idea with your tight end or Y here in this look, except he's going to fake the block, arc outside, fake the block, and then get behind that boundary safety. So it's the same thing you see people doing out of the spread with a spread receiver, single receiver into the boundary of the glance post, a lot of people call it. But now we're doing it from a tight end formation with the tight end in attacking that boundary safety that's dropping down. So that's very important. If you're going to bluff him, you must release outside and block the corner sometimes as well, because it all fits together. Release outside, fake block the corner, and hit your bluff or your glance post if you're continuing that concept from a split end position. And then the last one here, number 4, is run a corner route. Release outside like you're going to block the corner. You could actually release like you're going to block the safety and then hit a corner route with it. If the corner is aggressive on runs and coming downhill on runs, then you want to run this corner route and throw behind him. And if the safety is trying to cover the corner, obviously you're going to have leverage on that, and the corner is going to be coming in run support, then you want to throw the corner route over the bluff route. Okay, so these 4 things you need to do with your tight end: block him, flat him, bluff him, and corner him. You got to do those 4 things in your offense to have a complete plan of attack into the boundary versus these 4 defenders covering those 4 gaps. So what do we do if we have an H-back instead of a tight end? Well, now we have an extra receiver unless you're going to be in an unbalanced. If you're in an unbalanced formation, then just take this X from the boundary and stick him over here somewhere, wherever you want to put him, to the field. So you can do the same things, but now we've added a little bit of extra things that he can do. Number 1, block. Well, he can block on, he can block down, he can arc to the alley defender, or he can pull across the formation and block like split zone and block this defensive end. He could insert, pull and insert like you're running an ISO play for the F, or maybe an ISO play where the quarterback reads it and pulls it. You can pull him and he can wrap around the edge and lead the quarterback. If the quarterback pulls it, the defensive end takes the running back, the quarterback pulls it, and now you have a lead blocker in front of your quarterback. If you have a running quarterback, this is a great scheme to use to have a blocker lead the quarterback around the edge. So we've just added, by him being off the line of scrimmage in an H-back position, we've added some things that he can do. He can block the same ways: on, block down. He can release to the alley defender, but now he can pull across the formation and kick out the defensive end. He can pull across the formation and miss the defensive end and lead the quarterback around the edge if the quarterback pulls the ball and becomes a runner. So that's added an extra blocking way to use your Y as a blocker. Number 2 is the same as before. We're going to run him on a flat route. That hasn't changed. Flat him. Bluff him is the same. Release like you're going to block the alley support, and then get behind the safety. That's a bluff. Some people call them pops. Corner, same thing we talked about a while ago. Release outside and run the corner route. You can still do that with him. One thing we have added is run a screen. He can pull across the formation and continue going to the perimeter, and you can actually pull the ball and throw a screen to the Y on the perimeter on the opposite side of the field, and your Z and A could block for that screen. Or if you wanted to go unbalanced and bring the X over here, now you have the X and the Z and the A blocking for your Y on a screen. So we've added a screen that could go to the field, and that's really tough on someone that's playing man-to-man coverage on your Y. He has to fight through all of this trash in here to get to defend the screen on the other side. You can also throw the Y screen out here. It's very similar to running him on a flat route and let the X block for the Y and release him on a behind the line of scrimmage screen to the left. So we have 5 things we can do with our H-back: block, flat, bluff, corner, those same 4 things as when he was a tight end. And then we can also add running a screen with our Y as well in this look. All right, coaches, that concludes the video for today. Thank you very much for watching the content. I will put in the description below, I will put the Patreon page address so you can check that out. If you want more information of how to get this done with your H-back or tight end, please check out the Patreon page. Join $10 a month, and you get all this information plus a lot more. A lot of how to get it done, so to speak. Lots of booklets. I have over 1,500 pages of booklets and information. I have a manual for every position, a manual for the offensive coordinator and the head coach. We have all kinds of booklets of how to teach certain things to certain positions. We do lots of videos, have over 200 videos that are up that you can look at on talks about techniques. Some of it talks about the thought process of your quarterback, talks about read pass concepts. All those things are included, and the read pass is the difference maker that can help your team go from average to good to really good to great. So it's a way that the defense will always be at a disadvantage numerically because we are always trying to create that +1 situation and put our offense in it and give our offense the advantage in each and every play. So thanks for watching the content, coaches. I appreciate you very much. Continue to watch it, share the video, like the page, follow the page, like the video, thumbs up, bang that bell for those notifications. Do all those things for me. And as always, magnify your blessings each and every day.